What is good, everybody? It is your boy Pat, the designer, back at it again. I am so happy to have this man right here on the show. One of my guys from Twitter, man. The man, he writes for Sports Mockery. He is Dave from Sports Mockery. That is what he is known as. Dave, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Like I said, I'm excited to finally get this thing going. I know we've been in the works for a couple months here, so finally linked up. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man, yeah. Before we get too deep into the content, we want to let you guys know that we do talk Chicago sports weekly. We want you to like the video, subscribe to the page, make sure that you hit that bell so that you can see all of the content, and that this video is brought to you by Martinelli Originals. They make these lovely logos here that make the studio pop, you know what I'm saying? And if you want to go find yours, check the link in the description below. Now, let's get into this Bears talk. There's a reason this Bears head is behind me. There's a reason we've got Dave on the show. Dave, I would call you a Bears aficionado.
That's probably too much. I mean, I'm just a really big fan at the end of the day, but I mean, I love the Bears, you know. Yeah. So you're definitely correct on that.
So let's get into this week. Let's jump right on it. So we were going to talk about, hopefully there was going to be this big episode about Le'Veon Bell signing here. That did not happen. He goes to the Chiefs. We've got a lot of questions on this field, especially with the running game. So I ask you, what is this Bears running game coming into a Carolina Panthers team that has been gashed by the run this season?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out this week what the run game really is. I mean, we can't really judge Montgomery and this offensive line from the last 2 weeks. We went up against Indy and Tampa Bay. We're probably top 5 defenses in the NFL, according to DVOA. Yeah. So I think Carolina, like you said, they are bottom of the league when it comes to stopping the run. So I think Monty's going to have a big game. It's going to be interesting if he doesn't, because then it's going to raise questions, you know. But I think this is the game where we find out, hey, what is our running game going to be? Because the first couple games, we thought we had it. You know, we were it was surprising, a lot of people. So I think we're going to find out. I think they get back on track. I think Monty gets over 100 yards. It's going to be tough. But I think this is the game that gets the offense kind of back on track. And we kind of hopefully are talking about a Bears team that's 5-1 heading into a Monday night game against, I believe it's the Rams. So we'll see. But like I said, I think the run game is going to really show itself this week. So
is this a game that shapes the face of this team moving forward? I mean, we've heard all the talk, you know, oh, they got lucky against Detroit. Oh, they should have lost against New York. Oh, there's of course everything. Oh, they were almost blown out by Atlanta. Atlanta did Atlanta things. Is this the game that if the Bears come out 5-1, we finally got to give this team the respect that they deserve?
Yeah, I think any team that starts off 5-1, you have to, no matter what and how they got the wins, you have to respect them a little bit. Obviously, there's going to be people, like I said, the Bears could win the Super Bowl and there will still be doubters. It's just, it comes with, the national media. But I mean, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I don't know 100% what this team is. I think we're a playoff team. But I think you have to beat Carolina. This is a matchup that you should win. The Bears, like I said, they have to win this one, especially with a tough, few games coming up. I think you got the Rams, Saints, and then maybe Green Bay. I'm not 100% sure, but it's going to be tough down the road. So you have to take care of these games that you should win. And as far as addressing, the people that said, they almost lost to Detroit, almost lost to Atlanta, you're 100% correct. But I mean, Minnesota is 1-4, and I guarantee you, if you asked any of their fans, they would rather be the worst 4-1 team than the best, 1-4 team in NFL. So you take it what you can. I mean, 4-1, I'm not going to complain. You're not going to complain. So I just really need 5-1, and I'll feel a lot better.
So here's your schedule moving forward. You got Panthers, Rams, Saints, Titans, Vikings, and then you hit the bye. And listen, these are all, as I look at these teams and I look at this Bears team, these are all very winnable games to me with this defense. But when you look at how this offense is played, they got to keep moving in the right direction, especially when you get into the Titans and into the Saints. How many wins do you think this Bears team can pile up before the bye is actually over?
I think it all depends on this game in Carolina. You lose this one, you're 4-2. You lost to a team that you should have beat. it can, cause some dysfunction, especially if the offense sputters again. Say Nagy has another game where the play calling and Foles is missing the deep shots, or even the early, the easy third down throws to Allen Robinson early in the Tampa game. If that continues, then it's going to be an issue, I think, with the whole team, because the defense has done its job for the most part this year. They haven't been great. Tampa Bay, that was almost like a coming out party with Mack and Brent Urban and Hicks, and you got Fuller with a hit. So I think this game right here really sets the tone for the rest of the season and how far this team can go. Because you beat this team, and if you beat them single-handedly and you beat them, by comfortably, it'll be the first win you can say that the Bears won comfortably, and say the offense actually produces. That's something you can build on. We can't keep having week in, week out. When is the offense going to take the next step? What's the identity? Is Foles going to ever figure it out? And I think, with the extra kind of mini bye, I think this is exactly what the offense needed. Yeah. And we're going to find out, what Nagy and Foles can do. And hopefully, come Monday, we're going to be excited about this team. So
when you mentioned that offensive play calling from Matt Nagy, when you look at this team, it's almost mind-blowing to think that they haven't had a plus 40-yard touchdown in almost 2 years. I think Allen Robinson's was 36 yards the week versus Atlanta. And you look at this team, it's just since 2018, they haven't had a plus 40-yard touchdown. Matt Nagy is supposed to be this offensive guru. We're going into week 5. If this team can't score more than 19 points yet again, or more than 20, or it looks like the offense is struggling, is it time for Matt Nagy to think about giving up this play calling duties?
It's going to be interesting to go back, to 2018. Crazy stat, by the way, not hitting on a 40-yard touchdown. That blows my mind. So I think when it comes to 2018, even 2019, and even the first 5 games of this season, there's been moments and there's been opportunities that both Trubisky and Foles have had to hit those deep balls, to get those 50-yard plus touchdowns, and it's just you're missing those plays. You're either whether Trubisky overthrows his receiver that we've become accustomed to, that eventually basically got him benched. And then with Foles, Foles' deep ball, if I'm not mistaken, was something that he was supposed to be extremely better than Trubisky at. And I just haven't seen it yet. And maybe that's something just with his receivers, that he still has to work on. But I think Matt Nagy and the play calling, it's weird because one game I'm really upset. I think a lot of fans can relate to this. One game I'm like, what is Nagy doing? He's too cute. It's just curl routes. It just doesn't make sense.
Whenever Cordero Patterson runs up the middle.
On third and 1, when you want Monty there to Monty he's so good. I'm hoping like I said, Carolina kind of gets him going because he's a workhorse, man. Whether he's catching out of the backfield, his receiving game has gotten a lot better, and I don't think that's talked about enough. But I think, like I said, Nagy, the play calling one game is just, it's almost like Mitch and how he plays. It's very inconsistent. Yeah. So hopefully he has his quarterback in Nick Foles. Hopefully we find out what Matt Nagy is as a play caller and a play designer. And like I said, I have all the respect for Nagy and even Ryan Pace to an extent, but especially Matt Nagy because he's had a tough go at it. Mitch just could not handle what he was throwing at him, so he had to water it down. He's had to do all these things. He hasn't really had a quarterback that will be able to run his offense the way he wants to. And I think Foles is the guy, but at the same time, there are some limitations with him as well. But we're going to find out, like I said, in the next couple of games, especially against Carolina, a team that they should beat pretty well. They should put up points because Carolina's defense is banged up and they're not that good. Yeah. So if they can't, like you said, score more than 19, 20 points against this team, it's going to be a long week. And it's going to raise a lot of questions and it's going to make the people who, don't believe in this team even louder, and you have even more negative takes on them. So like I said, a lot hangs in the balance this week.
Yeah, for me, even I think even if they came out of this game and they won it something like 19-17, this is a game for me that if you can't get the run game going if you don't make a commitment to the run game, if you're not able to score points because you're looking at this offense and you're like, well, we got to keep passing the ball. Versus, by the way, one of the better passing defenses in the NFL. Now, you said that they are a little banged up coming into this week, but still, you got to pay them the respect that they deserve. And for me, it's very interesting that we haven't seen that commitment in these last 2 weeks. And I really hope that we see that this week, because Carolina is just a very, why am I blanking on his name now? Atlanta Falcons running back from Atlanta, or from that was in LA. Ty Gurley. Gurley destroyed them. I was like, oh my God, is it 2018 again?
Well, you could go back to the Detroit game where you have an older version of Adrian Peterson. I think he rushed for 90 yards. I don't even know.
Yeah.
He really beat us up, and that was scary. Thank God, for Swift dropping that ball. Otherwise, we could be, like I said, the season could be completely different.
Yeah.
That's football for you, though.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when you look at this team, of course, we know we can harp on the quarterback all day. At the end of the day, what part of this team do you believe needs to improve the most?
I think it's actually a little bit every. I think special teams. You look at it, the Bears haven't played their best football yet. Maybe the defense is probably the closest, especially with that Tampa Bay outing. I think the special teams, defense, and even the offense can play better. But if you wanted me to pick, a side of the ball, it's obviously going to be the offense. I think this offense, the offense, like it is every year, even in 2018, it will decide how far this team goes.
Yeah.
If Foles can just be the 16th or 16th to 20th best quarterback in the NFL with this defense, with the weapons and and all that, I think the Bears have a shot to at least make the playoffs. And then once you get in, you have Foles, who, he plays he just makes plays, and then when it comes and when it matters, he just makes those throws, and then you just can't count him out. Go back to the Super Bowl run with the Eagles. Go back to 2018 where he came into Soldier Field. Yes, we should have won. We won't bring up his name, but
we don't say that name on this show.
He came in and played against one of the best defenses in the NFL, maybe the best defense that year. So Foles, you get into the playoffs, you will always have a shot with him as your quarterback.
Right.
And then you pair him with this defense, that's something that he has never had. Man, it's dangerous, man. So, like I said, we'll go as far as the offense takes us this year, and that's kind of like it is when it comes to the Chicago Bears team so fast. So,
and I think that's so scary. Like, you look at it, like you said, this defense is it the 2018 defense? No. And I think what's hilarious to me is we look at this defense and people always say, oh, well, they're not as good as they used to be. They're not as good as they once were. What is this team? And it's like, yeah, well, we're comparing them with a historic defense.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're comparing them with a defense that at certain points was compared to the 2005 and 85 Bears. Like, there's not much you can – it's tough to live up to those expectations for the entire duration. But when I look at this defense, there's really only one spot that I see that it can actually improve. And for me, that's the middle of the field. So I'll ask you this. What have you seen from that linebacking core? We saw Roquan get juked out of his shoes about 3 times last week, and Danny Trevathan just looks like he was the wrong guy to pay.
I think Danny T, in the beginning of the season, it was rough. He looked slow. I think he's starting to heat up a little bit more. I think his game against Tampa was a little bit better. Not as concerned. I was pretty high on Nick Kwiatkowski. Yeah. But Roquan is an interesting guy because, if you could kind of play devil's advocate here, he was yes, he got juked out. Yes, he missed some tackles, but he was in the right spot. He looked fast.
Oh, for sure.
So if he just wraps up and finishes those plays, we're talking about Roquan potentially having his best game against Tampa. But I think the middle of the field is concerning. But like I said, those guys are pros, and I think Roquan and Danny T will figure it out. I think they're getting better as the season goes as well. But yeah, I have my concerns. Roquan is the one that is the most intriguing because I really thought he was going to have a really fantastic year. And for his draft, he's drafted in first round. You expect a little bit more. He's not a bust, of course, but
right.
I mean, when it comes to, linebackers in Chicago Bears, there's a standard,
Yeah.
And is he meeting that standard? Right now he's not. And it sucks to say, but he's had his flashes. But like I said, I'm a big believer in Roquan. I think he'll figure it out, and I really hope he does. But there's a standard in Chicago when it comes to playing linebacker, and he just needs to meet it. Simple as that. And but like I said, it's kind of scary. The Bears defense, it's hasn't played its best football, but it's still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And that should be encouraging, as far as, this team moving forward and going deeper, hopefully into the playoffs.
For sure. We've got Dave here with us for a few more minutes. Dave from Sports Mockery. We want to know your opinions in the comments below as well. Let us know, what do you think some of the things are that the Chicago Bears can work on? How confident are you in this team? Before we get out of here, I want to get your opinion on what you think is going to go down Sunday. What do you think these Chicago Bears are going to be able to do against the Carolina Panthers this Sunday?
You put me on a spot here. So predictions, right?
Yeah.
You want predictions? So going into Sunday, 1:00 start. I think it's going to be, like I said, I think the Bears, I think they have a good game. I don't think it's, the breakout game that we all want, but I think Foles throws a couple touchdowns. The defense, I think they get pressure on Bridgewater. I think they make it, kind of a similar performance against Tom and the Bucs. So I think the Bears win it pretty good. I think 24-10. I don't think they give up a lot of points. 24, maybe 14, but I think 24-10. I really think the defense is going to show that last week was just the beginning, that Quinn's going to make an impact. You're going to see Hicks still doing his thing. Mack is on a mission. So I think the defense is really going to set the tone early, which is going to help Foles and the offense maybe get a couple easy, good field position, easy scores. And I think Foles throws a couple touchdowns, maybe a pick. I don't know. But I think the defense, like I said, is going to kind of ride high from that win in Tampa and just, kind of pick up where they left off. So I think 24-10, the Bears, they're not in the 30s yet, but, 24, I'll take it.
Yeah, you've got them handling them pretty soundly. If you got them 24-10, that's I'd take a 24-10 victory any day. My heart's not racing in the fourth quarter.
I'm very optimistic. Like I said, I think this is the first comfortable win that we get.
Yeah.
Obviously predictions are, hearsay, but my worst fear, like I said, is a Mike Davis revenge game, even maybe Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
But Bridgewater in the offseason, I think it was reported today that, Nagy said they did scout him. They were interested in him. But if you go back to some of the reports, he didn't want to compete with Mitch Trubisky, whether he just didn't think it was a fair shot. We could read into that what we will. But, revenge games are a real thing. The Bears have had it. A couple players that have really just stuck it to us.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
the Cedric Benson game is always iconic, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, rest in peace, right? But, so like I said, I'm pretty optimistic when it comes to Chicago sports, especially at the Bears are 4-1. I'd rather be positive than negative. Yeah. I'm hoping, good energy that the offense I'm not expecting Mahomes or, Lamar Jackson, just any offense, in the NFL to, that puts up points to do that. But 24 points is, I think, a realistic goal against a defense in Carolina that's just not what the Bucs or even Indianapolis was. And you played the Bucs defense. I think we put up 20, right?
Yeah.
So, give me 4 more points. Just give me 4 more points and give me a comfortable win, So there we go.
I don't want to be stressing in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go, and then I got to see all the Trubisky tweets on my timeline. Like, we didn't bench you. We benched you for Foles. Why?
Oh, man. It was, like I said, I'll be honest, it was looking bad there in the beginning. I think that first quarter against Tampa. I could not believe it. I think everyone was frustrated, and everyone kind of was, had some hot takes, when you look back to that night. There was just a ton of people, clowning Foles. But he pulled through. He didn't have the greatest game, but he definitely showed up when it mattered.
And that's the big thing about him. I think he's one of those guys that you look at him and you're just like, is he a franchise quarterback? I hope not. But if he can just be good enough for this defense to destroy people, that's all I need of you. I don't need you to be complete passes, keep the defense from being tired. Things will go well. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah. Foles is, like I said, is he a franchise guy? No. He hasn't at least proven that throughout his career. I think he's a good bridge quarterback.
Yeah.
I think if we can get a year or two out of him where we're able to compete, and then draft a quarterback this year in the first or second round, let him develop, let him sit.
Man, for real.
Let Matt Nagy pick his guy. Like I said, he could be the perfect bridge quarterback where you're able to kind of compete, not pay him too much, and at the end of the day, help him develop a young guy that quarterbacks are developing and coming into the league ready to play. So who knows, 2 years from now, we might have, like Zach Wilson from BYU that I really love.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to have, the ability to get like Justin Fields or, Trevor Lawrence, but or even Trey Lance, who I like Trey Lance too, but maybe like a Zach Wilson at BYU. He's probably my favorite prospect, realistic prospect for the Bears.
Yeah.
But like I said, Foles, franchise guy, probably not. But we'll see.
Or we wait it out. We wait till Arch Manning is ready, because from what I saw of him on ESPN the other day, he's got a lot of the family traits.
Dude, I think he's a sophomore.
He's a sophomore.
High school.
He's a sophomore.
Gosh.
First pass of the day, a dot to the corner.
If there was an NFL draft, if he was eligible, I think he would probably be a first round or second round.
Straight out of high school, probably.
Just let him develop, that's just crazy how fast these quarterbacks are developing, or coming just out of high school, college.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And it's something that, as far as, the Bears and quarterbacks, so I think it's kind of encouraging, because we have never hit that, the quarterback. We just never hit on that draft pick. So hopefully, God willing, with everything that's going on and these quarterbacks coming out and they're almost surefire picks, hopefully we get our guy here soon.
Hopefully. I mean, I'm sick of every Bears broadcast we hear. And he just broke Sid Luckman's record from 1946. I'm like, if I hear Sid Luckman one more time, I'm going to turn the TV off and rip it off the wall. But Dave, we appreciate you for joining the show, man. It is an honor to sit here and talk with you, man. As always, we will definitely be chopping it up on Twitter. Let the people know where they can find you, where they can find all your articles and things like that.
Yeah, man, just Runback Dave on Twitter. And then you can follow Sports Mockery, obviously, if you want. Like I said, I appreciate having me on, man. We'll do it again. I'm glad we finally linked up. And like I said, hopefully we'll talk again, and hopefully the Bears are 5-1 when we do so.
Man, for sure. Or on their way to a Super Bowl. You never know. We'll see. We'll see when the schedules link up. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man.
We want to know your opinions. Let us know in the comments below. I will be down there talking with each and every one of you. It is your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. We appreciate Dave for joining the show. If you want to continue watching our content, click the links here or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.